Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor with an update on Carole Baskin from Tiger King. You guys remember Tiger King, right? That show we watched on Netflix in early 2020 that, we thought would be the craziest thing of the year. All right. Well, Carole Baskin has actually been doing a lot since then. A lot of people, I think, have moved on from the show because they were just like, enough already. Who cares about Joe Exotic? But there was still that lingering issue of, did Carole Baskin murder her husband, Don Lewis? It was kind of the most interesting sort of out of nowhere twist in that documentary for me. And I'm still really trying to figure out what happened there, as is Don Lewis's family. Now, to go back to where we are today, which is Carole Baskin was just served today, given that case. Before I get there, it's important to sort of give you a recap of what's happened to Carole Baskin since the Netflix documentary. For those of you that didn't follow, she actually was awarded Joe Exotic Zoo in just a crazy turn of events. If you remember in the show, he was sued by her for using the likeness and the images of Big Cat Rescue. It was just a stupid thing he did. And so everything that happened to him, he's already to jail. But there was the website that he was posting documents and things, which really was confusing for her brand. And so she was able to win that lawsuit to get what's that called? When you get money, monetary damages. She was able to get it. So because they weren't able to sort of give anything, the court gave her his property. So now Joe Exotic's place is now owned by Carole Baskin, which is the cruelest twist of irony. She really did sort of get her way. Or so it seemed. But no, karma always finds a way to bite you in the big cat, big cat thing. Sorry, I was trying to be clever there, but I wasn't. This is the latest news. Now, as a Tampa native, I am following the story, and I got to follow Tampa stories when they happen because they've just came out today in Tampa for a big press conference because the family of Don Lewis just announced that they are not done. They are going to be pursuing this heavily. In fact, they just dropped a $100,000 reward for tip that leads to the discovery of what happened to Don Lewis, who murdered Don Lewis. And so this is a big story. There's a tip line you can call right there, 646-450-6530, or you can go to Jack Ripper Media, which is I'm going to talk about Jack Ripper Media in a second because he's been. I remember when I did my interviews, he was doing some impressive stuff there. More on him in a second, but that's where you can go give tips if you have any on this case. That's part of the reason I wanted to do this story. But the family of Don Lewis, the surviving daughters, have now filed a complaint in Hillsborough County against Tiger King's Kenny Farr, Carole Baskins, and a woman who witnessed the signing of Lewis's will. We're going to serve Baskin with a lawsuit, but not a lawsuit of damages, a lawsuit for equity. Equity? I don't even, they want to find facts first is what they're trying to do here. So this press conference today in Tampa, they explained that a pure bill of discovery has been filed. His office filed demands information that the defendants may have about the Lewis case. It could mean depositions, subpoenas, which will then determine who they sue in the future and how. The pure bill allows a putative plaintiff to obtain the disclosure of facts within the defendant's knowledge or deeds or writings or other things in the defendant's custody in aid of the prosecution or defense of an action pending or about to be commenced. So basically, like I said, they're just trying to gather as much intel as they can from these people to deem, can they sue, who they should be suing. They need the information first. It's like a discovery process. Lewis said that Baskin is invited to the table to come forward with information willingly, which you got to remember, you'd think she would do very easily because, she doesn't want to be accused of murdering her husband if she didn't murder her husband, right? You'd think you'd want to come forward with information and be very available when, the family of said husband is out there trying to still solve what happened. It's always a little weird to me when the spouse of someone is just like, nope, well, I'm good. We're moving on. He's missing. Sorry. Well, I hope they find him Sunday. Got to go. It's just weird, right? This is weird. So she's invited to the table, and then as the lawyer's sort of saying, traditionally you would do a $150 million lawsuit, how we're going to get justice, and we're going to do all that in time, but our office wants to invite reason, to incite civil conversation where it can be had. So it's kind of smart because they're basically putting this on her. I imagine they're going to make it look like she's being difficult and not helping the case, which is only going to help their case, right, further. I'm a lawyer. I sue people. We'll go that route too. Make no mistake. If the family's offer for civility is rejected, if the insults continue, the next stop is to bring justice because justice is love. Baskin was married to Lewis when he disappeared. Now, Farr, who was also listed, was a worker, a handyman. More on that in a second. And Lewis, continued working for Carole for a while. And then the other one is Susan Bradshaw, who was the witness on Lewis's will and durable power of attorney. Now, Bradshaw, the woman who apparently signed this will that it changed last minute after he was dead, told the Tampa Bay Times in 2005 that Baskin asked her to testify that she was there for the will signing when she was not. So now she's sort of like, I wasn't there, even though the will says she was. That's a big deal because that's where all the money went. Carole took all of Don's money and the sanctuary and has been able to do all this with the money, sue people, etc. Keep it, good profile. This Netflix documentary was such a dumb thing she did. This is when people get too big of a head. They think they can control the whole world and they lose focus and don't realize, you're going to get caught if she did it. Again, allegedly. So they're conducting an independent investigation into Lewis's disappearance, and investigators have already visited what they believe was a possible gravesite. We may or may not have hopped a fence yesterday to try and investigate to find out if, this was the place where Don Lewis could have been buried. He apparently told HLN on Sunday. Lewis's daughters were there with the filing, talking about how they've been trying to really do justice for 23 years. And Jack Ripper Smith, who's the YouTube channel who's been really shepherding this, has served as spokesperson for the daughters. Said someone came forward with information. Called on someone to come forward with information that solves the mystery. Will claim $100,000 reward. One of the daughters said that Smith has been a warrior for justice and given her family hope. She said the family worked for weeks raising the $100,000, which eventually was guaranteed by an anonymous donor. Fun fact: Carole has tried to say, "Oh, well, yeah, that's for, I'm doing." No, she's not. Ripper Smith has confirmed this has nothing to do with Carole, which again, odd. Carole's not using her wealth to find out what happened to her missing husband. Anyway, this is guaranteed to someone who can, solve the case. And 4 billboards have been dropped around Tampa, along with the tip line, which I told you at the start of the video. We're hoping with these funds, someone will have the courage to come forward. So on top of that, what's really interesting is they've also brought in a criminal defense lawyer who will represent any witnesses who come forward for free. We will aggressively defend you. Which is a big thing because a lot of people are worried maybe they have other cats and they'd get sued. The sheriff in Tampa here also confirmed that they would be willing to do a deal for immunity that's on the table if witnesses come forward with good enough information. So they're opening up all this stuff saying, look, let's put this to bed. It's about time. Let's put the real person to justice. If you have intel, come forward. We'll help you. So we'll see if this actually nets anything. But anyway, this has all happened because of the documentary, and the daughters have expressed suspicion on Carole Baskin who since remarried, but they suspect she was involved in the disappearance, which Baskin has denied. And she questioned the credibility of Tiger King once she discovered that's what that was about. The sheriff here in Tampa also believes Lewis was murdered, though has no evidence to suspect anybody. So he's not saying Carole did it, but he has said Lewis was absolutely murdered. There's too many things to point to a murder, but we have not been able to pinpoint who murdered him. That's the current problem. So this $100,000 reward is pretty big. So Carole did comment before this press conference today, but Carole did make a comment here saying that she believes it's a publicity stunt orchestrated by family spokesman Jack Smith to bolster his YouTube views. But do hope that all the attention from Tiger King and the aftermath will result in us finding Don. Wouldn't you lead with that? Wouldn't you lead like, look, I admire anybody who's fronting funds to solve this mystery because this is not okay. I hope we find Don. I've been looking for him for 27 years. I want to put this to bed. I want his family to be happy. I will do anything I can to help in this search. No, this is a publicity stunt for YouTube views. What is she doing? What is she doing? What is she doing is the big question. So while these billboards are going up and she's not fronting this money, but other people are, she's out there making a comment about Cardi B putting a wildcat in a video, right, guys? That's what she's doing. She's keeping her she's keeping those big cats safe. But apparently, this cat here in this shot, that was something really bad, guys, because she says, here it is. You have to pose a wildcat in front of a green screen to get that image, and that doesn't even happen in the wild. It can happen here in sanctuaries like ours, where cats have plenty of room to avoid a green screen, or would shred it if offered access and could die from ingesting it. That's so drastic. What? You immediately go to the cat is going to eat the green screen and die from swallowing fabric? What are the odds of that happening? That tells me, because she's saying, well, they must use a green screen. They must have probably dealt with one of the big cat pimps, probably even one of the big other shows like Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem, Madness, who make a living from beating, shocking, and starving cats to make them stand on cue in front of a green screen in a studio. That's never good for the cat. Look at this assumption she jumps to. One, they're going to die from ingesting a green screen. Oh, but no, they're probably just being electrocuted to stand here in this shot. I mean, has she seen The Lion King or The Jungle Book? Could this just be a fake cat? I mean, I'm pretty surprised these days on technology. Also, who's to say that's not a set that was built outside? There's a million things that could have happened. And look what she just jumps to conclusions. Anyway, that's not the only thing she's doing. Now, as I said, Tiger King Sheriff says, that this is still a disappearance. There's something really wrong here. She's not doing anything. The only person who's doing it is Ripper Media Jack. And here's
when the family wanted the meat grinder tested for DNA, they had good reason for that because they knew there was a meat grinder.
They had good reason because Kenny said that's what he did to Dawn.
What?
All right, hold on. Kenny said, all right, what? Kenny said what?
It's my favorite video of his, which did really well for him. Congrats. But this is like an ex-wife or knew someone who dated, again, who said hearsay, but still interesting information here to imply this woman heard that Kenny, who they're serving, was very instrumental in helping put Don in the meat grinder. Now, there was disputing things of what the size of the meat grinder was, but I've looked around and the sheriff has confirmed there was an industrial-sized meat grinder that could have grinded someone in there. At the same time, it's hard to do the bones. But the reality is, it's possible, but it's complicated. But the reality is, they didn't test it, so they just didn't do it. They hid it from the cops, and the cops never tested it. And you got to remember that she had a brother-in-law on the force. There's a lot of stuff that went down back then that would have made a lot of evidence just disappear or not be questioned. So very fair for his family and a lot of other people to have questions. And Carole gets very defensive and angry when anyone puts her in doubt, saying, well, I didn't do it. Sorry, Carole, you got too many things around you. You got to put it all to bed or we're still going to have doubt. That's how this works. So, what's really interesting is she says this quote, that they're just doing it for a press release, right? This is what she's saying. I believe it's a publicity stunt by Jack Smith to bolster his YouTube views. That's what she says, right? Well, let's see what Carole's doing, guys. Oh, wait, look at this. Carole's on Cameo, guys. You can get Carole to make a Cameo video for you for $300. She'll go and wish you, hey,
you
cool cats and kittens.
It's Carole Baskin from Big Cat Rescue.
Oh.
Matt and Beth, I heard from Jeff that you guys are getting married in the mountains, a beautiful mountain.
Anyway, she does. You go through her cameos. It's like a robot doing the same thing every single time. You are a cool cat and kitten. You're a cool cat. I hear you're a cool cat. But what's really funny is she's doing all this, right? She's not putting her money from her Cameo to go find Don. All this money that she's gotten from Don, a organization she got from Don, all of this stuff to try and help Don's family, move on. But she's going to charge $300 for it. Okay. What? I mean, it's like, what is it all for the big cat rescue? Put it here then, Carole. That's a lot of money to ask for. Really? You're worth $300? I mean, well, you know what people are doing? They're doing this. Here's an example of Carole using her sources and getting money to help Don be found.
You cool cats and kittens, it's Carole Baskin at Big Cat Rescue. Hi, Rolf Harris. All your kids wanted to get together and tell you that you have really touched them and that they love all that you have done for them.
Who's Rolf Harris? Yeah. Go play that again. That's super, super gross. So this is what she's using her money for. Yay, look, I mean, obviously she's pulling an anchor man there. She didn't know. I do give her that. I'm sure she didn't know who this guy was and she's being trolled. But come on, Carole. Don't go out and call out a YouTube channel that's actually trying to get information, trying to find Don Lewis's what happened to the truth of what happened. And then tell me, you're doing better work over here on Cameo, giving Rolf happy birthday greetings. I mean, I'm sure it's hard to Google everybody, but my God, for $300, a video, you could probably take 5 minutes to have you or your husband there. Just check the name because you know you got trolls coming after you instead of wishing happy birthday and that the kids.
I hear there's a lot of great stories about you and your best friend, Jimmy Seville.
Another one, by the way.
Can't wait to hear those.
Jesus.
Happy birthday, Rolf.
Oh, gross. Now, look, she's made a comment saying I didn't know those people were, but it just proves, come on, Carole, what are you doing? You can't keep coming after everybody else when you make the same mistakes. That's my problem here with Carole Baskin. And if you didn't do it, then come forward and help these people. Help Don's family. Be there. Open up your grounds. Say, check anything. Yeah, I got nothing to hide. Here's that meat grinder they didn't check before. Be accountable. Give it up. Why are you making it so hard for everybody? I want to like Carole. I want to think she's just fun and trying to do it for the cats. But it seems like she's hiding some stuff. That's my 2 cents. What do you guys think? That's the update we got here in Carole at Tiger King. I will absolutely keep you posted if something new happens to the story. If you got something you hear or any other news story you want me to cover, please hit me up at Andy Signor on social media. And be sure to check out my other videos. In fact, why don't you go right here and subscribe? Boom, 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 boom. If you like my kind of content, subscribe. You'll be notified. Hit that little bell. Make sure you never miss a Popcorn Planet update. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back with more content soon. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.